Today I'm going to talk a bit about yarn weight. I'm going to start off with two things here. First off, yarn weight is not the same as or even directly related to the ply of a yarn. So when yarn is made, first they spin singles, and then they may or may not take those singles and ply them together to make a thicker yarn. So you can have single ply yarn that is a single ply and it's sold just like this. You can have a two ply yarn where they take two singles, they ply them together to make a two ply yarn. You can have a three ply where they've taken, you guessed it, three singles and they've plied all those three together. Plying is just twisting, basically. Very fancy. They've taken three plies together and they've twisted them into the yarn. You can have very thick yarns that are only a single ply. You can have very thin yarns that are a triple ply or more. All right, next thing, sock yarn versus fingering weight yarn. I want to make this clear that fingering weight yarn is kind of the broad category, and sock yarn designed for knitting socks is a subcategory of fingering weight yarn. Not all fingering weight yarn is good for knitting socks. Don't knit socks out of, cashmere Angora buffalo yarn unless you're planning to wear those babies only to bed. They'll fall apart real quick. Just be sure that if you're buying fingering weight yarn for the purpose of knitting socks, it is something that's going to stand up to the use of being walked on. And also a little side note, some sock yarns are not fingering weight. So there are quite a few like sport weight sock yarns. So if you see something that's called sock yarn, just know what you're buying. I hope this has clarified things and not confused you even more. If you're still confused, ask me or tell me in the comments and I'll try to make it more clear. If you're not still confused, or if you weren't confused to start with, then that's good and we're going to move on. I'm going to flip the camera around and video the actual yarns themselves and talk about the actual yarn weights. Got my really fancy yarn weight chart here. We'll start here on the left. Gossamer, probably not for beginners, made to knit really tiny shawls that will fit through a wedding ring. Thread weight, usually used for crochet doilies, crochet shawls, usually 100% mercerized cotton. Lace weight, made for knitting, lace, usually. Fingering weight, good for socks, Fair Isle, shawls, gloves, tanks or tees. Sport weight, good for knitting baby items, everyday clothing that doesn't need to be too warm, tees, tanks again, maybe some shorts or lingerie, swimwear. DK, a great all-around, all-purpose yarn, sweaters, hats, scarves, shirts, skirts, whatever your heart may desire. DK is there for you. Worsted weight. Worsted weight is another great all-around yarn. Sweaters, hats, jackets, blankets, scarves, wraps, winter wraps, winter shawls, mittens. So, fingering you would want to use for knitting gloves because it gives you that dexterity because the yarn is thinner. Worsted or Iran, you want to use for knitting mittens because that's going to keep your fingers nice and toasty warm. Then we've got our Iran weight. Lots of times worsted and Iran are kind of categorized together. Some people claim there isn't really a difference between them. Some people are adamant that there is. But basically, you can use both of them for pretty much the same sorts of things. Then you've got your bulky yarns, good for coats, sweaters, hats, nice thick mittens, or like nice thick, like slippers felted slippers, felted purses, that kind of thing. Then you've got your super bulky and your jumbo. You'll see both of these are missing because I don't like knitting with these. And I live somewhere that's really freaking hot. So super bulky, good for coats, scarves maybe. Like, I mean, I don't really like knitting with it. So, but you know, people use it for kind of like statement items. Like if you want something that's going to be really bold and the stitches are really going to stand out and look distinctive, and it's not going to be like a lot of other items that people have, you know, super bulky is your thing. Or, you know, if you just want to knit something really quickly, obviously super bulky is great. Jumbo yarn, this is a new weight that's kind of hit the market recently in the last few years. It's really big. People use it for arm knitting. It's really just for making, again, like statement pieces that look really, really cool. So that's just a really quick overview of what these different weights of yarns are usually used for. And of course, feel free to mix it up and use them for whatever the heck you want, because that's the fun of knitting and that's the fun of, you know, crafting and creating. And one last thing before I go, something that might be helpful. If you have a smaller stash or you really want to knit something, you don't have the right yarn for it. Fingering weight doubled is going to give you DK weight. DK weight doubled is going to give you Aran weight. So I hope this has been useful to you. If you have any questions or comments or requests, put it in the comments. And thank you very much for watching.